suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Walter's got Nards!
The Empty Man is the 2020 horror movie directed by David Pryor, and it stars James Badge Dale, Marin Ireland and Sasha Frolova. Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a Patreon request from David James Venter, so thank you very much for the request, David. He's requested me to do a review for The Empty Man. Now there is going to be spoilers in this review, although I might find it hard to spoil the movie because a lot of it I didn't really understand, so here we go. On the trail of a missing girl, an ex-cop comes across a secretive group attempting to summon a terrifying supernatural entity. Okay guys, so here we go. I'm going to try and give you a review that I understood for this movie because there's a lot of it I really didn't understand. I've only seen the movie once, so I'm going to do this review based on the once that I did watch it. I will have to go back and watch it again and again to maybe take in a little bit more because there's a lot I didn't take in. At first, before I saw the movie, I thought it was just going to be this kind of ghost story or a supernatural story about a guy looking for a girl, and that's it. Now it is more than that. It's got a lot more layers, a lot more subplots as well. I think the more subplots that are introduced into the movie, the less I understood about the main story that I was trying to understand. Now it starts off in, I think, 1995 in this snowy mountains, and I really liked the beginning. The beginning was quite long, it was about 15 minutes or so, but I was hooked from the start because it started a way that I didn't expect it to start. Very mysterious, with this group of hikers that are in the snow, and there's this entity that's hooked onto one of them and he doesn't talk, so they hide in this little remote cabin and there's something chasing them, they just don't know what it is. And after the first 15 minutes or so, when it finishes, I was like, oh okay, this is turning out to be something that I wasn't expecting. And then we're introduced to a guy called James, played by James Badge Dale, and he's the more grounded, realistic guy. He's sort of like the audience in this movie because he asks questions and does things that maybe I would do and the rest of us would do while watching the movie. He's like, what's happening here? I don't understand what's happening. I'm getting out of here. So the types of things that this character does makes me latch on to him because I feel what he's feeling all the way through the movie. The main story though, without the subplots, is about this guy James who is looking for a missing girl, and that's it. His neighbour's daughter goes missing. He is an ex-cop, of course, so he tries to follow her footsteps, find out what she was doing, investigate and ask some questions, of course, find out how it is she got to where she was and just look for her. So the investigative part of the movie was maybe the driving force for me because it was the most realistic part of the movie, with that Empty Man style story all the way through it, because obviously we got that bit at the beginning, so I'm expecting this girl to have done what the people at the start done, and James goes after her to find out the true story of what the Empty Man was. And if that's all it was, I think I maybe would have followed the movie more, but it has too many subplots that I just swayed away quite a bit, because there's a subplot where it goes to this Pontifex place where I'm assuming these are the worshippers of the Empty Man, or they're the vessels of this Empty Man, like the people at the start of the movie. We also get scenes where we've got these people who are being killed by the Empty Man, but it also looks like they're committing suicide as well. So when the cops come, all they find is dead bodies of people who they think have maybe committed suicide. Again, that's a subplot in itself, which is pretty cool. And then you've got James's character, who's, even though he is investigating, the police are also looking into him as well, asking him questions, finding out what he's up to, why he's investigating for his neighbour's daughter. So there's just so many things that are happening that are interesting, but when you lump them all into one movie, you don't know which part that you want to really concentrate on, and even though you're trying to concentrate on it all, it becomes a mess, not in a bad way, but in a way that you just can't really comprehend what's happening. When you think all the backstories are gone, no, we've got more of a backstory for James as well. His kid and his wife died. They died in a car accident, but it unfolds that they died on the same night that he was having an affair with his neighbour, whose daughter went missing. So there's just so many layers to this movie, and we haven't even got to the twist. Even though I don't fully understand the twist, I'm going to explain the twist as best as I can. So we find out there's a guy in this hospital bed that everyone is worshipping, and that's where they're getting their power from, this guy in the hospital bed. It turns out the guy in the hospital bed was in a coma for over 20 years. He is the guy from the start of the movie who survived at the start, the one that started to hear the voices of the empty man. So he's still living, but in a coma in a hospital. Now, from my understanding, this man is the bridge between whatever world that it is that they're worshipping to the real world, but his body can only sustain what it's doing for so long. So these people, these worshippers from Pontifex or wherever, they need another vessel. They need a stronger body to replace the dying body, basically. And they use James's body, or they want to use James as the new vessel. So everything that's happening to James from the start to this point at the very end is all intentional. They set him up to become the new empty man, to become the new person, the new vessel. I could be completely wrong. I could be looking at it from a completely different angle, or it might just be an opinion that maybe some other people share. I don't know, but that's the way I see the movie. That's the way I see James's character, and that's the way I see the rest of the plot leading towards at the end of the movie. For those of you who know me, you'll probably know that James Badge Dale is one of my favourite actors in modern day. James Badge Dale brings so much to every role that he's in, and for a movie that's so muddled, I still latched on to James Badge Dale because of his acting. I think he made us believe as an actor that he was confused as a character. So I was confused as well as a viewer. So again, I latched on to him, and it's mainly because of his acting, because James Badge Dale, out of everything in this movie, he was incredible. When it comes to creepy scenes and scary scenes, it's kind of reminded me of The Babadook, where it's not really a horror movie, but the scary scenes and the creepy scenes were there for horror moments, but at the same time it was more than just a horror movie. It was more a psychological movie. It had all different subgenres in it. It was mainly called a horror movie, but it had more psychological moments than horror moments. At the end of the day, guys, I think the movie was maybe a little bit too bold for what it actually was. I think it tried to reach places that it couldn't quite reach because of all the subplots. I wouldn't say it was a bad movie, but I wouldn't say it was an incredible movie. Now, I have read a lot of really great reviews that made me want to watch it, as well as David giving me the recommendation. But at the same time, I've read some really bad reviews that I thought it can't be that bad. I'm going to side towards the better reviews. I think it's better than it is bad. It's not an incredible movie, but it is a really thought-provoking movie that maybe you have to see a few times. With a runtime of over 2 hours, it's going to be hard for people to want to watch this once, never mind more than once. But I think if you do watch it and you're intrigued, you maybe want to watch it a few more times to truly understand what the empty man was. So have you seen this movie, guys? If you have, leave your thoughts down below. This is one that I'm really going to be interested to find out what your view of the movie is. But anyway, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought. Thanks a lot, David, for recommending me to watch this movie. It was a very interesting one at the end of the day. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.